My name is David Kenney, and my rank is commander. So I went from carriers to cruisers and destroyers, and was assigned there for a number of years as a raidman, and I made first class in the reserves. And after Cruiser Destroyer 2 was disbanded, I moved over to Mobile Inshore Undersea Warfare 102, which was kind of a beach command type of thing. Stayed there for a while, then went to CB-27, and just jumped around a little bit. Still in the same reserve center, but moved around from a couple of different units. Went into Naval X, which now today is called Spar Wars. Was in that unit for a little while, and then they stood up a brand new unit in the reserves called Military Sea Lift Command Central Command, or Central European Command 101. It was a brand new unit, and because they had plenty of billets, I went right into that unit, and I spent almost 18 years in Military Sea Lift Command, starting with that unit and then transitioning. The unit later got changed to MSC UR, and the command flag was changed from Rotterdam to the UK. So that was where our command headquarters were, and that's essentially where everybody in our unit was tasked to mobilize to. So I was in that unit for quite a few years, and one of the things that we did in that time was we needed to develop essentially a Middle Eastern / European style exercise to deploy port teams in the event that we had a wartime scenario. And so I got involved with a development team from the War College. It was comprised of a couple of notable doctors from the War College, a couple of Navy reservists that had a lot of experience with military sea lift. Myself, I was director of IT operations and communications for the exercise. And basically, we spent almost 2.5 to 3 years developing a brand new exercise, which eventually became known as Unified Charger. And we ran that exercise for every year for the Military Sea Lift Command operation, covering areas from Egypt all the way over to Beirut, and Southern Europe, Italy, Spain, everywhere. And so the exercise itself really was designed to hone the skills of the military, the fast deployment teams, the port teams, to go to these locations and pretty much set up and become a ship husbanding type of operation for that particular port. So it was a very rapid response type of thing, and that's pretty much what the exercise was geared to flesh out. And that ran for a number of years until eventually I left MSC and I went to Naval Control of Shipping. That was based out of Quincy, Massachusetts, so I changed my reserve center. I went to Quincy and stayed in Naval Control of Shipping for a while. Again, while I was there, I got involved in developing exercises for NCAGs. Worked very integrally with developing a lot of communications style exercises and things of them. Became a division officer for them while I was there, and then eventually went to when the NCAGs unit was disbanded out of Quincy, they moved that operation down to the Bronx. And the CO at the time, Captain Boland, was looking for individuals to essentially transition with him because he was the current CO at the time, and they wanted him to shift everything down to the Bronx. Some of the folks were not able to go because geographically it just wasn't possible for them, but for the ones that did go, myself and a group of four other officers, we decided to go with Captain Boland, and so I was transferred down to the North Bronx and worked out of there for about 4 years before I eventually came back up to New England and was assigned to North Manchester and Manchester, New Hampshire. When I went there, I was affiliated with a temporary assignment unit called OSU. And while there, I also filled in the slot. When the CO and the XO were either sent off for schools or deployed or gone on vacation, whatever the case might be. My job was to essentially fill in their positions. So on occasion, I would fill in as either the commanding officer or the XO for the NOS Manchester and fulfill that role. So after I left OSU, I took over as the OIC for the voluntary training unit there, VTU 10109. And I also took charge of the Navy Funerals Honor Guard. The Navy had stood up that program in 2001, and each of the services, the DoD had tasked each of the services to essentially develop their own honors programs. All they told us essentially was, you will do it, and then you can figure out your own way on how to do it. So the Navy decided that they would use reserve component to do and cover funerals. But we had to develop a team. And so at NOS Manchester, we developed a team concept up there, a little bit different than what some of the other NOS were doing. And because of that, we were able to pull together a team of roughly 25 to 30 people on average. And we ran regular training sessions with them, got them boned up on skills at the grave site, how to do proper facing movements, how to fold the flag properly, and we became so good at it that we were actually, myself and my first class were actually regional trainers for a while. We were asked to go to other NOS and train them up to do essentially the same thing. So I've trained sailors at NOS Bangor, White River Junction, Vermont, Quincy, as well as Manchester, and that to me was probably one of the most rewarding assignments I've had, largely because it involved getting out with the families in the community, but also because in most cases it was a very solemn and very important part of the Navy's interface with the families of fallen sailors or people that had served. And we felt it was a very, very important task. It was a lot of the bringing forward the Navy tradition and the military standards, and essentially making that final impression to the family for their loved ones who, for whatever reason, sometimes they just never even talked about their experience in the military. So in some cases, that was the first time the family had ever seen any kind of military ceremony or any kind of military protocol. So we impressed upon the troops that they had to get it right the first time. There was no do-overs. So it was very crucial that people were trained properly and they knew how to do it. And because it was highly visible, it was one of those things where you really couldn't make any mistakes. Mistakes were often found out, and usually that information went up the chain of command, and we always heard from the top about those types of things. So the reality of it was it was a lot of training, but we also had a lot of fun, and we developed it so well that we had Christmas parties every year with the troops. We did activities every year with all the sailors, and it really turned out to be a really enjoyable assignment for me. But that was a tangential assignment to managing the VTU unit as well. And that brought me up to my retirement. I retired in October last year, and my total service between active and reserves was 40 years. So I retired on my 60th birthday.